Sooner the lessons would be over. A woman needs to check her email. She is 40 years old and a teacher. Walking down the corridor to the computer science room, she automatically greets colleagues and students. Also, habitually restraining emotions, sits down on a chair and turns on the computer. During this time, several more teachers and masters come into the office. The woman is very nervous, as the internet takes a long time to load. Finally, the connection appears. She opens her mailbox. Super! A letter came from him. She can't believe her eyes that this is happening to her. The woman calms down and briefly reads the lines of the letter. The letters contain simple words about how the addressee spends his free time. The email remains in the browser tab. After a while, she starts her current work on the computer. But while she goes about her business, her gaze runs over the received message from time to time. A smile wanders across her face. For the past month, she has been corresponding with a young man living in Italy, who first wrote to her. Looking at her avatar, she also replied. There were dating experiences on various sites and social networks, but each time it did not end in anything special, solid disappointments in men. She had a sound mind, knew how to feel hypocrisy and lies in time, did not believe beautiful words, because she was a realist. Therefore, I did not see anything wrong in the first letter, and a correspondence ensued. And unbeknownst to herself, the woman was already waiting for these Italian messages. Intuitively, she felt that messages should not be large in volume, so as a rule she ended them with the line, "But I'll tell you about it later." The addressee himself turned out to be a Muscovite whose Italian father married a Russian girl, his mother, judging by the letters, but later he divorced her and returned to Turin, where he was from. A young man also arrived there after completing the institute. He worked in the tourism business with his father. Now he headed one of the departments. Of course, the woman had little faith in this, because it is difficult to determine from letters whether a young man is lying or not. This is not a personal meeting in which you will immediately understand whether a person is lying. After a while, she sighed. Working simultaneously with several documents at once, the teacher completed only 3, the rest remained unfinished. There is still time to submit reports, so I left them for the evening or tomorrow. She saved the documents on a USB flash drive, turned off the computer. It's time to go home. The woman did not tell any of her friends about the correspondence with the man. For some reason she did not want to. And I trusted only a psychologist, with whom I had been friends for several years, working in college. She urged her to treat it as a flirtation, just to have fun, not caring about the future. So she tried. Having gathered in her office, she left the building, went to the bus stop, waited for the bus, and went home. On the way, the woman thought about the addressee. John, the Italian, as she called him, invited her on vacation to Italy, to Turin, promising to pay for her trip. For some reason, it was annoying. Something in his text was incomprehensible to her, as if something said, "Do not believe." She had already decided on her vacation plans. Moscow was waiting for her, where she would live with a friend. She found interesting sites on the internet that she would like to visit. She saved up money. In short, she calculated everything. And this unexpected invitation made her think, maybe he should offer to meet her in Moscow. Why go abroad? And there is no passport with a visa. So she decided. After having dinner with what she found in the refrigerator, the woman rested, watched TV, without thinking about what was flashing on the screen. Then I prepared for the lessons. I started writing a letter to my Italian acquaintance by saving it on my computer. 2 days have passed. During this time, the woman still completed the letter and sent it to the Italian, and waited for an answer. Finally, 2 days later, in the evening, at home, after dinner, turning on the computer, the teacher connected to the internet and found a long-awaited letter among the incoming correspondence. She decided not to read right away, to prepare for lessons beforehand. But curiosity overcame. After she completed one lesson, the woman decided to read it after all. She opened the letter. The text was already a page and a half long. In it, John talked at length about his vacation, his plans, and persistently offered her to come to him in Turin, since he had recently arrived from Moscow. The woman didn't like his letter. Of course, she had enough experience of relationships with men to relatively understand male psychology, but she was not officially married, but she was in a civil marriage for a short time. She had enough. Then the woman almost automatically prepared for the rest of the lessons, but she did not fall asleep normally, thinking about the situation. I was haunted by this letter. The other one would probably jump for joy, but not her. In college, having barely completed her lessons, a woman invited a psychologist to lunch in the dining room. After nothing insignificant general phrases, she still asked a friend, "Listen, Amanda, how do you understand in a letter whether a person is lying? There are some points." "What is it?" She looked at her companion carefully. "Is there something you don't like about your Italian's letters?" "Yes, especially the last one. I even printed it out. I want you to read it. Do you have it with you or in your office?" "In the office." After lunch, the colleagues went up to the literature and Russian language room. The girl's psychologist carefully read the Italian message twice. She found some phrases indicating that the person is lying about where he was and what he was doing, and she was also stressed out why he insists on coming to Italy. They actively discussed what to pay attention to, and she calmed down. On the same day, Lily wrote back that she could not go to him because she had already planned everything, but offered to meet in Moscow. The answer turned out to be immediate. The next day, after school, in the computer lab, burning with impatience, she opened the letter and was stunned. He wanted to send her a gift and asked her to write a mobile phone number and home address. The woman was confused. Then she pulled herself together and immediately wrote him only her phone number. Her mobile itself was Android, worked well. She recently installed WhatsApp to contact her loved ones living in different parts of the country and the world. But in the next few days, no unfamiliar calls were received. It was weird. She hadn't received any letters from John for several days. Then the woman ventured to write, carefully asking where he had disappeared. She received an answer a day later. The Italian angrily wrote that they would no longer communicate, since she refused to accept his gift and did not want to see him. The woman gasped in disbelief. "And what is it?" The next day, she called a psychologist to her office, showed her the letter she had received. Both were shocked to read the text and did not understand anything. In the end, they decided not to worry and forget about it. But the woman, disappointed in this man again, was engaged in analysis for several days, reread the letters, and after a while finally deleted them all, even a photo of a cute black-haired smiling man of 38 years against the background of rocks. A tall, dark-haired man of 38 years of athletic build looked out the window, found his Infiniti QX80 in the parking lot, enjoyed the view of the bronze monster, shouted to his sister that he was waiting for her in the car, and jumped out into the entrance. The engine started up softly, as if a satisfied tiger purred. The driver ran his fingers over the touchscreen of the panel, selected the mode, turned on the music. A girl of about 25 years old fluttered into the car on the next seat. "Well, finally, I came down. Do you need a lift to kindergarten or institute?" "To kindergarten. Buckle up." She muttered something and obeyed. "Let's go. Are you going to be late today or as usual?" the girl asked. "Let's see. If there are no additional orders, then on time. I will soon have to go to Moscow to the exhibition, look at the new items." "I see," the young woman sighed. On the way, they talked quietly, and after a while the man dropped off his beautiful sister near her kindergarten and went to work. The young man was driving and singing softly. Soon he drove up to the building of the service station. A 12-year-old teenager drove up to the cafe on a skateboard. Picking up the board, the boy went to the table, habitually slapped his palm on his father's, and sat down in the chair opposite. "Hi, Dad." "Hi, Nikki. How are you?" "It's fine. How are you?" "It's okay. What are you doing?" "Yes, nothing much. I'm resting. Do you have any suggestions?" The boy looked at his father with hidden hope. His mother always said that he looked very much like him, and therefore the guy really wanted to look like an outwardly calm and athletic man. He even did boxing and gymnastics. The child noticed that his father had gray hair not only on his temples, but also on his short bangs. "Nikki, I'm going to Moscow in 3 days for the automobile exhibition. Will you come with me?" The man looked at his son expectantly. Joy flashed in the child's eyes. but he restrained himself. Of course I want to, but the boy hesitated, as Mom says, you know. Nick, the main thing for me is whether you want to come with me, and I'll arrange with Mom. That would be cool. Shall we have lunch? The teenager asked busily. As always? The father smiled slyly. Or the menu. And let's go through the menu, and the boy muttered to himself, if only Mom would agree and let go. While they were having lunch, the man still talked to his wife, and she allowed them to go. The father and son were relieved. Hooray, they are going to the exhibition together. By plane! Wow, despite the fact that the boy occasionally flew, he really liked to travel by plane. It's great to fly. He closed his eyes for a moment, imagining the porthole and the bottomless sky behind it with extraordinary clouds, even crossed his fingers to make it come true. The man then drove his son to friends who were already waiting for him, and the man just smiled with joy that he would spend time with his beloved son. This was the first part of the story. Write in the comments if you want the next part and I'll release it right away. Subscribe to the channel. Love you.